Before starting with the lecture, let's watch one video of how managers are making the hiring decision. Listen carefully and write down. What do you think of the situation in the video? What are the managers doing right or wrong?
For this role, I really liked her energy and passion.
No, I don't think she's mature enough to handle the challenges we face here.
Yeah, I agree.
With what?
I mean, I like Miriam, and I agree that this is a great challenge for her, so I'm not sure. Or, on the other hand, of course, a promotion has to be a stretch, so...
Yeah, you see? Let's take Miriam.
Yeah, but why?
I really liked her energy and passion, and she is really motivated.
Okay, and what about Daniela? Why don't we discuss her at all?
No.
Why not?
There's something wrong with her.
What's wrong with her?
Not sure. She reminds me of my head teacher from the secondary school. The same agitated enthusiasm. Even the way her hair is put up reminds me really of that person. Not someone I feel comfortable with.
I agree.
With what?
There is something.
Okay. And what about Hindrek?
I don't think he has enough energy. And he has done it all. Will it be any challenge for him?
Why did he apply?
He just wants a job, that's all.
Yes, and actually we have a job.
No. We want someone passionate.
That is so true. Passion is everything.
Okay, what shall we conclude? Are we ready to make a decision or not?
So,
Okay.
what did we see here? Did we have any comments, or does anyone wants to say something?
There's a question from Marcus who is asking, is this really how the hiring decisions are made?
Yeah, unfortunately, many of them. That's this. The script is written from a real life. Can you imagine what happened after that? As it wasn't a real situation, I know that finally Jack was guided to make a right decision. Someone says that I don't want to believe that it is so.
This is sometimes reality out there, yeah.
It is. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
it is, yes.
There are a couple of people who also agree that Tanya is saying that probably more often than we realize. And Ala wants to know if you have seen discussions like this in your experience.
Absolutely, many of them. And in a way, I used to somehow believe that, well, if they are very good candidates, then more or less you can decide on random. But the more I grow myself as a headhunter and professional in this field, I always see that even if you have 5 very good candidates, then you still have good and better choices. And what we saw here was that the typical situation that people were declined based on random reasons, like reminds me of someone. There's a typical, very random reason, nothing to do with the job. Second, that people are taken in for just liking. I like this person, and then this call, that energy and passion. This is typical buzzwords which I use to rationalize your intuitive decisions made during the first 2 minutes of meeting them.
Yeah, and Natalia has a very good thought. She's saying that the person is no match and it will bring more cost for the entity for finding the replacement. So basically that probably need to fire that person and find a new person afterwards if you make the decisions based on that.
Absolutely. This is an expensive mistake if you make one, and the mistakes are quite common. That's right.
Let's gonna make an example. Let's gonna show how a scorecard could look like and how you can use it. Before we're gonna jump into the scorecard, maybe not everyone has seen Wisnio. So Tõnis, can you say a couple of words about Wisnio before we go into more details?
Yeah, this is the Wisnio organization. our organization, actually it's demo organization of Mirel's, but if you just show us one test hiring flow, it would be helpful. So this is this hiring flow on Wisnio platform, which helps you today to make a hiring decision in a professional way. It starts from position mapping on the left-hand side, then it goes to shortlist, where you can present the candidates in an interactive way. Then there is interview and evaluation module, where you can the system generates according to the position map. It generates the interview questions and evaluation form, and then based on this, you are generated then a scorecard where you can compare candidates and basically make your decision.
I'm gonna quickly show one thing before we jump there, so people would just understand how those evaluations actually ended up on the scorecard. So this is the interview and evaluate guide, and as you can see, I in this case and another evaluator have already put in the scores based on each criteria. So you can again see how we did it in a previous webinar series, but this is how the scores end up on the scorecard. So you can add scores, and I've added a little bit thoughts why I think and why I rated this person requirement match with a 4 and etc.
And you also maybe noticed that there are some comments which are written down during the interview, and there are some comments which come from reference checks. So basically the evaluation sheet or evaluation guide is generated both for an interview and for a reference check. So also reference check has to be kind of structured and directed to the same requirements and qualities you want to evaluate in the person. Otherwise, it's just a chat which doesn't give you much help in making a decision.
Okay, so now we jump to compare, and this is an example of how a scorecard, could look like. This is how it looks in Wisnio. So Tõnis, we have 3 candidates, and we have 2 evaluators who have given their input. Ideally, there could be more if there were 4 people as stakeholders participating in the search. All of those people could give their evaluation. But then is what we can now do with this information, even if people make their own scorecards at home, how you can use it.
First, I would like you to pay attention that there are 3 kinds of requirements on the left-hand column. First, there are position requirements. There is 2 of them here. Second, there are differentiating competencies, which are the ones which help you to differentiate between good and excellent candidates. And finally, you have data about behavioral diversity, and this is something which comes from the Wisnio platform. If you put your candidates through the Wisnio, they are directed to some questionnaires, which are ideally the same which already your team has filled in. So you can also see how well they're fit with the teamees, how good they are in adding diversity, or how well they fit with the team culture, with the values of other people have in this team. So, but then the easy solution, like I said, is if you scroll down, you see a total score, and you see it. One candidate is scoring more in total score than others. So if you do it by the book, if your criteria were right, if you did your best to evaluate them in a right way, then you should just take the person with the highest score.
Jonathan is asking about how do we define the behavioral diversity?
Thank you. This is a good question. behavioral diversity is the difference in personality traits. So what we know about high-performing teams, we have done quite a bit of research. Actually, we know everything which the science knows about high-performing teams. And what we know is that high-performing teams are similar in values and diverse in everything else. And if we think of everything else, we tend to look at deep level diversity, which is how different personalities are in this team. For example, it is well known that if there is a bunch of extrovert or very social people in a team, or it's a bunch of introverts, kind of people who want to work on their own, both of these options are not as good as a team where we have both extroverts and introverts. So the team is diverse in extroversion scale. And we have like several scales where we measure this behavioral diversity, and we say that behavioral diversity makes team more agile and potentially more high performing.
So you said that about the scores, that the best would be to make this decision that this is the highest score, so let's take this candidate. What if people feel that, because right now everything gives like equally the points. What if, even though this candidate has a higher score, I feel that...
Basically, like I said, if the hiring manager and maybe someone else has done this ratings, they can, of course, they can overrule.
Okay.
For example, they can notice that we have two places where we have this exclamation marks. That means basically that we have two evaluators who have been here, who have evaluated these candidates, are having quite different opinions. So maybe we want to discuss this. For example, Emily has rated this competency, ensuring accountability, with 5 points from 5, and Mirel has rated them on 2.5. So basically, why don't you discuss with Emily before making your final mind? If you, Mirel, are the one who makes the hiring decision, then, or you can also decide that, well, I know better than Emily. You just exclude Emily's opinion here.
Okay.
Or you might want to ask Emily. So, how did you? Why? What is your rating based? And Emily might want to change the rating, or you might want to change after you hear what Emily says.
Okay.
And the same with the other one, actually.
With here.
The same with the other one. Attention to detail. It's these evaluations are not opinions. They should be based on data, and you can both present your data. What is the data you made your evaluations on, and maybe you want to adjust and you want to agree, and still the hiring manager can decide that the weight of some of the criteria is much higher than some of the others.
So I can choose that even though he has the highest score, I feel that this requirement is actually the one that, is most important for us. So we can choose that because she is best in it and very close to the other score. We still feel that this person is like right for the role.
Yeah. And finally, of course, this is another option which always is there. If still in doubt, try to think of something which helps you to gather some additional information. Maybe a task you want to ask those two people. You obviously want to exclude one here, but then two of them are much closer to the finalist's position. Maybe you want to ask them both to solve some problem, which is an actual problem in your agenda right now, and and come back and discuss, and then you see with whom you get on better terms and so on.
Is it also okay that if I feel that there may be extra questions or like extra things I want to ask, is it okay in this stage to make another like short, even maybe phone interview with those two to gather more?
Absolutely, and
input?
you can do both. You can do both another interview and ask them to make maybe a task, maybe spend a couple of hours. I wouldn't think you can ask to spend days without doing a free work for you, but a couple of hours at this stage might be quite okay. You can also ask for another call with the reference person and discuss something specific. So all this is appropriate. This system, this scorecard, doesn't make the decision on behalf of you. You are the one who makes the decision.